and welcome to the GBTA Broadcast Studio. I'm Catherine Logan, Regional Senior Vice President EMEA and APAC for GBTA, and we're broadcasting today from the GBTA APAC Conference 2025 in Singapore. Joining me today in the broadcast studio is Eugene Tan, Head of International Transport and Global Partnerships at Trip.Biz. Eugene, welcome to...
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the broadcast studio. So let's talk about trends. What are the most significant trends you'd say are currently shaping the business travel landscape in the APAC region?
Yeah. So I think there's three major trends that we are seeing, especially in this year itself. I think that was one that, on the first day we talked about, be leisure. Now be leisure is actually not a new term. It has been around for several years, but I think it picks up a lot of traction, especially, since the second half of last year. And the momentum just gain through, this year itself, right? What we are seeing is that there's a change of the demographics in terms of business travelers itself. So a lot of them is packing in a lot more onto their business trips, right? They are going into these cities. It's a new cities itself, right? So you have this business traveler says that, hey, I'm here, right? To conduct my business here, I need to learn about the culture. Right, so that's why we need to spend a few more days, right? And this is really leisures, right? And the trend is actually picking up from a TMC space because from a TMC perspective, we have been focusing a lot on the business aspect of the trip, right? But how do we actually blend in here? The things that they need on a business trip doing client meetings is very, very different on they experiencing the culture of the city itself, right? So like in Trip.Biz, right? From a payment part, at least, now we can actually do the blending of the payment, all right? We call it co-payment. So you have a situation whereby the business travelers is going to a business trip. You want to spend 2 more days, let's say, in Singapore, right? Like in GBTA, all right? What they do is that, they want to extend their hotel stay, right? So we can actually pack it into the whole trip itself, just that this portion of the extension, right? It will be paid, using all sorts of payments, right? Mobile wallets, or whether is it their personal credit cards itself. So I think this is one of the trend, right? That, is gaining a lot of traction. From our statistics itself to today, right? 60% of the business trips, right? Most of them are actually be leisure in nature itself. So I think that's one thing. I think the other thing that we saw, right? And from a tech perspective, we are doing a lot of development, is the AI, the usage of AI, especially from a corporate business platform perspective itself, right? Today, business trip has become very, very sophisticated. Lots of changes, a lot of uncertainties, weather changes, or the actual situations when they are in the city itself, right? So a lot of times, the business traveler, when they are in the city itself, they need a lot of support, right? And the thing is that there's so much we can cover. But more importantly, from a customer service perspective, where we are using a lot of AI assistant, is that we want to preempt all these situations itself. And when really there's an emergency case, right, we know how to react. Or if let's say they have no access, or there's a busy line, right, they cannot get through our customer support, right, they say still go through our apps, right, to get some help. And these are already pre-built in, and we know the process to go through when our business traveler has an emergency case in the market itself.
Yeah, so you've got a personal travel agent just sitting ready to make the amends as well as required.
And with the help of the AI technology.
With the help, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So travel management companies in APAC are challenged with content fragmentation. How would you say a TMC can overcome that challenge and offer seamless travel solutions?
Yeah. No, so this one, I think for the longest times, right, it's well documented in the sense that TMCs, right, we depend on GDS a lot. GDS has always been our main technology provider, at the same time content aggregators as well. So we get most of the contents from the GDS itself. The recent trend is like the airlines are pushing NDCs, meaning in other words, they would like you to direct access their contents, via a direct connectivity itself. From a hotel space itself, right? It's there's other sources that are coming in itself. So to actually address that, right? So what we have done is that is actually a changing of the mindset. So from a TMC perspective itself, right? We need to recognize that while we still have that heavy dependence on GDS has to be just one of the content source that we use. At the same time, we need to look at how through partners, through our suppliers, through the strategic relationship with our suppliers, and through, like, for example, the airline through NDCs, how do we actually get this content in? And with the help of our GDS partners, how do we bring it together into a seamless workflow, right? So this is, I think, one of the biggest things, right, that most of the TMCs, or at least in Trip.Biz perspective itself, that we are doing right now, to make sure that it's just a seamless process itself. So ultimately, right, when the customers, right, whether is it through our offline channel, going through our travel consultants, or through our mobile apps, right, all these back-end connectivities across is transparent to them, right? So I think it's through the collaborations with GDS and other content aggregator partners, right, to do this, to address the fragmentation in terms of content.
So the booker or the traveler has access to all of the content, and the company has the assurance of making sure the data is within the GDS. No, absolutely. And so in today's diverse global business travel environment, what strategies are being employed to ensure clients receive a cohesive and consistent travel experience?
So I think two aspects. So if you are talking about from a technology perspective itself, right, in Trip.Biz, right, we talk about all-in-one platform. So in other words, right, really, if you look at a corporate travel booking workflows itself, right, there are three big pieces of it, right? You have the travel, then you have to do payment, all right. Then of course it's about the expense part, right? How do you actually capture those expenses? Sometimes the business travel will have to do reimbursement, all right. So now what we are seeing, right, and nowadays more and more TMCs, like Trip.Biz, we are moving into a kind of a direction, right? From a technology perspective, the strategy has to be a all-in-one platform. So in other words, right, for the travelers, right, they're not leaving the booking tool to go for somewhere else, right, and to do a payment, to do the expense itself, right? It has to be integrated. It's just like just now we mentioned the previous questions about content fragmentation. How do we do that? It's actually getting more content aggregator partners, right, together, but I'm still using the same workflow. So to actually, do that seamless experience itself. So likewise, from a strategy perspective, right, to do that, to make sure that the delivery is consistent, is to actually make sure that our ecosystem today shouldn't be just about travel. It has to, have the payment considerations. You have to be able to move those informations, right, into the expense so that they can do the necessary reimbursement. Even for the finance department of the corporates are able to do the reconciliations itself. And ideally, everything will happen on the same platform that the TMC provides.
So basically it's about creating a seamless technology solution, really, isn't it? No. Well, with that, Eugene, thank you for joining us at the GBTA Broadcast Studio.
Right. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in.